Hey everyone, it's story time. So I got a call from a past client of mine. He said, I'm ready to list my house. I'm going to move. When we started talking about the house he was going to buy, he said he was so excited because it was a for sale by owner. Here's exactly why you want to make sure you have an attorney or a licensed real estate agent to work on your behalf in a real estate transaction when working with the FSBO. He's paying full price. He's a cash buyer. I start to look at the documents or lack thereof. There's just been email communication between the seller and the buyer of what the terms of the contract were. The attorney is not writing a contract in the deal, which I found pretty interesting. I asked him, who's hiring the attorney? Is it you or is it the seller? He said, oh no, she's paying for everything. So I said, well, who's writing the contract for you? So I explained to him, right now, you have no one representing your best interest. A single agent means we're going to represent you honestly and fairly with fiduciary responsibilities in your best interest. We will negotiate on your behalf while sustaining trust, honesty, confidentiality. So the seller hired a title company, and the title company was the one managing the deal, but there was no one working in his behalf. So basically they were writing the offer in the seller's best interest. That just made no sense to me. I explained to him, you really want this condo and you're going to work with a for sale by owner, you need someone looking out for your best interest. Who is protecting you and your escrow? You need to hire an attorney, or I recommend a real estate agent, someone that is familiar with the contracts, that can navigate through the deadlines, through the contingencies that you're legally going to be binded to. And what contract are you using? What type of contract? There's so many different things, contracts and addendums. And I go on the MLS, none of the addendums that are required are uploaded. There's an area at the bottom of an MLS listing that buyers don't see. When you list a property in the state of Florida, the listing agent negotiates with the seller a portion for a buyer agent. In the state of Florida, we co-broke deals, meaning we work with other agents to manage the other side of the deal. It's not required for the seller to pay the buyer broker commission side of the deal. It's not uncommon for the listing agent to negotiate that during the listing contract phase. When it's uploaded online, there's a disclosure that says, here is how much commission there is for the buyer broker. Now, there was a commission disclosed. So I said, the seller is willing to take care of my fee to represent you. It would mean that you and I would be working exclusively, or again, I recommend hiring an attorney. Long story short, she had paid for a limited listing service. Someone who will upload the docs for her, and she just pays a small fee and they enter all the information and the photos. Here are the things that were incorrect. The seller was selling a 55 and older community. There was no addendum. This was a community that was built before 1978. It was built in 1973. What does that mean? It means that there is a potential exposure to lead paint. There was no lead paint disclosure. There was no condo rider. The condo rider is a very important addendum that discloses how much you're paying the association on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. If there's any assessments that the buyer should be aware of. If there is an approval that's required from the association for the buyer to buy the property. Last but not least, it allows the buyer to, in writing, request profit and loss, budgets, covenants, rules and regulations. All of that should be disclosed to the buyer. If something comes up in any of those documents that the buyer does not agree with, they have 3 days to rescind their offer. None of that was disclosed. Now, some of you might say, oh, well, Cheri, you can go ahead and just pull those docs and fill them out. I could, but guess what? Now, I would be filling out information on behalf of the seller, and I'm not the seller. It's not my responsibility to disclose. I'm putting myself at risk if I misrepresent information and then I have my buyer sign all of that information. So this was just a mess. This was like Cheri Castro trying to make a pot of pasta on a Sunday night. Like, it was just, there was just all kinds of things going on there. Moral of the story is, get a licensed real estate agent to make sure that they're crossing all T's and dotting all I's for you. The best investment you can make is paying for an attorney or paying for a licensed real estate agent. By the end of our negotiations and fully executing the deal, the seller was not willing to pay the buyer broker commission. That's okay, because I conveyed my value in what I do and gave my client reassurance. Anyone out there that has any questions about how it works, when working with a realtor, you should know there is a commission and a fee associated with our services. Whether we're a listing agent, whether we're a buyer's agent, whether we're a referral agent. And there's a train. Well, hopefully it's a short train. We earn a living through compensation for our services. Those beginning transparent conversations need to happen so that everyone's on the same page. Would you ever ask someone to work for free? No. This isn't a volunteer basis job. At the end of the day, we got the deal done. Both sides, the seller and the buyer, were appropriately guided and represented ethically, morally, in their both best interest on both sides of the deal. And we're moving towards a close. Things can happen, guys. Make sure you ask questions. Make sure you're working with a licensed real estate agent or an attorney. Always, always, always make sure to reach out to your trusted advisors. All right. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk and my rant.